probably be close to its native land of Australia. And they said, www, wishing Wendell well. No, there we go. So I did a few trips around Australia. I just happened to find a kangaroo skin for sale. So I bought it, and I have one of my trips in the Outback. Some people, native people came and asked, they said, do you want to buy anything? Well, they were selling this spear, okay? And I said, what do you want for it? And he said, 2 bob, mister. Well, 2 bob in Australia is about 25 cents, okay? Well, later I'll go back to this one. Anyhow, so I took a trip and again stopped, and the woman had boomerangs. So I reach over here, grab a boomerang, and very sharp. So motion to her to throw it. So she did. Well, it didn't come back, it stayed there. So she threw another 1 or 2, none of them came back. Well, I was naive, I didn't know why they didn't, of course. But these are hunting boomerangs. They're out there when they throw it to kill or to wound an animal, a leg, they break a leg so they have some fresh meat. So, anyhow, I then talked to a guy, and he had some to sell. And I said, you have a didgeridoo? And he said, yes. Now, do you know what a didgeridoo is?
Would you like to sit over there, George?
Well, it's an instrument.
Of course. No, don't worry. Suzanne just came in as she walked by. Don't worry. Go ahead.
Good sound, distant travel. The thing is, it's very difficult to master it because you have to breathe in and exhale at the same time, continuously. So you can see I'm not the best didgeridoo player. However, I did meet some people in Australia, in Sydney, and I saw how they could play, and they're very good players. So, got this, and I was further traveling, and I went by ship to Australia, twice actually, and this is the name of the ship, the Oronce. It's a island in the Hebrides, Scottish Hebrides. So this is our dinner. Every day we have different menu, of course, so I just happened to pick up a few to take for souvenirs. And very good menu. Now, there's a picture of the Oronce in Sydney Harbour. That's before the Opera House went up. This is a picture at the bottom there. No, thank you. Anyhow, so this is the Oronce under the Sydney Bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge. And now they have the Opera House. Well, I happened to, on my way leaving Australia, but I'm stopped in at Adelaide, okay? And I saw a guy, he was an Aborigine, and he had a boomerang. He said, I'll show you how to throw it. So this boomerang is a returning boomerang. So he had a cigarette in his mouth, and the reason that, he blew out the smoke, and he took the boomerang and went about 30 degrees off the direction of the wind and threw it. It went way out around the parking lot, came back, up the top, stopped, full circle, it turned around, came down, and he caught it in his hands. Okay, that's Bill Owens, an Aborigine. So yeah, so I just happened to buy a few things. Now we will, let's see, I happened to, one of the trips, when the the Outback. I don't know if you can see that picture, but this is a termite hill. It's about 30 feet tall. It's made by the ants, okay? Well, since there wasn't much to do, I decided to climb it. Well, I climbed it to the top, that's me, and when it seemed solid. Well, as I was coming down, the top section broke, and here I am falling backwards. I was a fairly athletic guy then, so I did a backflip, landed on my feet, and crashed, knocked myself out, and I broke my right ankle, left ankle, compressed my right heel, and broke my left tibia. Now we were on a tour, and there were maybe 30 people on tour. Nurses, not one of them had an aspirin. So I had to wait for about 6 hours to drive down to Alice Springs, and I went to the hospital there. And luckily there was no displacement. So they gave me a wheelchair, and we continued on our trip back to Sydney. That's maybe the Australia's highest landfill. Okay, that's here. Now, another trip I did, well, when we first went to Australia, Tom and I, we had many tours, so we decided to go out to the Outback. So we went in, this guy had a little mini miner, so jumped in the mini miner and drove 126 straight miles, one paved strip in the middle, no bends, no turns. So we got to the back of Burke, and we had the pub, had a beer or two, and we told the people, we said, you know, how come everybody's so polite? They give us the right to stay on the road, and they go on the gravel. Well, then we found out they call this road Crystal Highway because the stones from their car hit windshields and blew the whole windshields out. And so they had all the glass from the windshields put on the side of the road. Hence the name, the Crystal Highway. So, yeah, I learned a lot in those days. And went to Australia on the Aronsay. And the big, this picture here, top is the Aronsay, okay? Named after one of the islands in Scotland. Well, what's mine? So my wife and I, we won a contest. So I got this beer stuff, Aronsay. Well, anyhow, we continued on, and well, we're up in Darwin, okay? We're at Charles Darwin, okay? And this was the original beer cooler, because it gets hot. So put your beer in the cooler. So we got to Darwin, and after sitting on the bus a long time, we got out and went to the beach. Well, the boy Courtney, our driver, he laid down. We all lay down on the beach, get sun and so forth. And all of a sudden, I hear a loud yell. I looked over, and this big old sow was sucking on his ear. So we all ran in the water. And in the water, there's danger. There's blue bottles, stingrays, and so forth. But we escaped. And anyhow, the name they called these pigs Captain Cookers. From the days of Captain Cook. He first went to Australia in 1770, and they brought animals and waterfowl, so that when they gave these presents to the kings of the little islands, when they were coming back to return trip, they'd stop off and they'd have fresh meat before refrigeration, of course. So that's the story of that. And Darwin, yeah. King grew on, of course, and this over here is Ayers Rock. I don't know if it is English. And this rock, is, how many heard of Ayers Rock? A couple. Well, the other name is Uru. And a picture here in second page. Uru, there, that's Ayers Rock, but it's Uru, okay? In the middle of nowhere. And people, thousands of tourists go there and take pictures. So it's publicized a picture item in Australia. So we walked around it, and you could climb it. They had steps up, basically. So we walked up, and they had a chain. So you pull along the chain and get to a little table, and you could sign your name, which we did. And then coming back down, I have a picture of the other side. Here, you can see here, in white strips. Well, I told people, I said, this is Australia's best highway, up 1,100 feet high. And of course it wasn't, but that's one of my stories. So, this picture over here now is, they had competition, and we went to the New South Wales competition for the people who were rescuing. So they would send out 6 swimmers, and then the rescuers had a belt on, rope, and they would swim out to bring the swimmers back in. And there's the patrol boat on the other side. Well, that was fine, but on the other side of the patrol boat, I happened to look up, and people yelled, there's a couple of sharks out there. John, I've never seen people swim so fast. They all jumped in the boat and then came back to shore. And so they had to cancel the rest of the competition. I took a lot of pictures in Australia, and this picture, we went up to the Great Barrier Reef. Great Barrier Reef, the Great Barrier Reef. There's a reef about 1,000 miles long. Well, this is before they were desperate. And we went to this island, Lady Musgrave Island. And the University of Brisbane taking students out. Actually, the students didn't come on that trip, so we had a boat to ourselves, 70 miles from shore. And the head instructor for scuba diving was a Canadian. So, you're Canadians, so he said, if you want to help me fill the oxygen tank for scuba, I'll take you in scuba diving. So sure enough, I got a few lessons on how to scuba dive. So, yeah, so it's, I took many pictures, and I saw one day it's going to be very bright daily. So I said, this is a good time to take a picture. I ran back to the tent and snapped off some pictures, and these 2 posts in the ground just beyond the surf. So a tern named Bert landed on the post. So we waited a few minutes later, another took his turn, and he landed on the post. So then I took this picture, and I took about 100 pictures more. I said, I'm going to go back to Canada, and all that night, except we took this picture on the front cover of the textbook. So that's 17 total pictures in the book. So that was, part of my experience traveling in Australia. That's only part of it, of course, and I don't know if you've heard of every year they have a Sydney Hobart sailing race. From Sydney to New South Wales to to Hobart, Tasmania. Beautiful colors, all those beautiful big ships sailing from Sydney down to the capital, Hobart. So Tom and I went down to the boat and went from Melbourne down to Tasmania, and we didn't have much money. So we asked on the ship, what's the cheapest price? Well, they said the bar class. So we didn't know what that was, but we found it. They put us in the bar, and they locked the cover on the booze. 6 o'clock. It was 6 o'clock. Closing. So we lie on the floor, and we got to Hobart. So toured around Hobart and so forth. And they had a person in the media was taking a picture. And big guy, big Aussie, he had 6 beer in his hands. And so she asked him, why do you have so many beers? He said, well, he said, you know, the bar closes here in Victoria at 6 o'clock. And so you have to order before 6 o'clock. And so then you can drink up. So you can imagine that the roads weren't very safe. So anyhow, that's what we did. And so I have very, very fond memories of Australia. And as I say, a digger's hat. And I went to what this is a surf rescue hat. Okay, you notice the wide brims, keep the sun out of your face and eyes, and so shoot the line and ooh, oh my. Me! I bought it from the surf club. And I said I had a good friend who was here. He was a surfer, singer. And so I bought this hat. They didn't sell it to anybody, but I said I'll respect it. So I purchased it. And so I've done quite a few purchases. And this is Australian Aboriginal art. Okay? So just over here, Australian bark painting. And this is made bark, okay? And that's the Southern Cross. My spear. And so the Southern Cross, it's a shark and stingray. So just happened to buy it, and actually I have to come home. I didn't bring it here. Couldn't bring everything here. Sorry about that. And so when we were coming back to Canada, we went by ship. So we said, I have to get the spear home. So I carried the spear into Melbourne. And so I'm walking around the streets with the spear in my hand. I went to Queen Victoria Hotel. And people said, well, give me the spear. I said, well, I'm trying to send it back to Canada. I phoned Qantas, and they wanted $18 to send this 25-cent spear back. So unfortunately, well, I didn't go that way. I had to break it in two. So it was small enough within my suitcase, and I got it home. And so I taped it up, put it on. So now I have my 2-bob spear back in Ottawa. So these are some of the what's it say? The Iran-Safe. Well, the Iran-Safe is a good ship I traveled twice with to Australia. And I read the book. Michael and Dodge. How many people have heard of Michael and Dodge? A few of you. Okay. Michael and Dodge was Ceylonese, okay? But now it's called Sri Lanka. And I've been invited back again sometime. I have little stories about Ceylon. But so Michael and Dodge, he wrote In the Skin of a Lion, Handel's Ghost, and The English Patient. So I found out after reading the scope that the Irancy ended up as a medical supply ship in Ceylon, Colombia. So it means a good bit to me to have a lot of this stuff where you can find it. So I take it home, and I do have a house. I live in 2nd Avenue, pretty far from here. So I do have a lot of items. Not only here, but in the cottage, Golden Lake. Anyhow, so I think that's about what I was going to present to you today. And thought you might enjoy learning a little bit about the country down under. So,
Hey.